Good evening. Today is Thursday, September 17th, 2020. It is U.S. Constitution Day in the United States, and I now call this Fairfield City School District Regular Board of Education meeting to order. And Mrs. Lane, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Begley?
Here.
Mr. Birding?
Present.
Mrs. Gundrum?
Here.
Mrs. O'Neill? Mrs. Shorter?
Here.
Thank you, Mrs. Lane. Mr. Baker, will you please lead us in the pledge?
Yes, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Begley. Mrs. O'Neill will be here shortly. And so the first item on the agenda is presentations and resolutions, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Birding. Mr. Birding, members of the board, we do have one presentation scheduled this evening. It is our first school spotlight presentation of the new school year. So at this time, I will turn it over to Dr. Paige Gillespie and Jonathan McEldowney, our administrative team at East Elementary.
Good evening, Mr. Birding, board members, Mr. Clemens, Mr. Smith, and members of our administrative Fairfield team. As always, it is both an honor and a pleasure to share time with you. Mr. McEldowney and I are here tonight more as a representation of all of our Fairfield schools. As you are well aware, we have faced many challenges over the last 6.5 months. Last year, I started thinking about the folktale of Henny Penny and how she was sure the sky was falling and the world would end soon. In the end, she refocused herself and on what needed to be done, and she went home and she laid her egg. I know, Jonathan's gonna laugh because I've told this story like 6 times today. I was like, you remember Henny Penny. Anyway, things have seemed pretty dismal and sometimes beyond comprehension, but despite that, we had students coming back to school. Our students are why we are here. They are everything. They provide for us a place that we are comfortable. Everything we do is in the interest of their safety and of their learning. So tonight we wanted to share with you, since you haven't been able to come in some of our buildings, how we were able to find the positives and make some lemonade over the last few weeks. I have to admit that some days seemed pretty overwhelming just thinking about how our schools needed to look different, from the littlest of things like using our restrooms to allowing 300 students to enter the building at one time. We worked together as an administrative team to brainstorm all of the what ifs, and there can be a lot of what ifs, that can be a daunting task, and propose solutions for one system at a time. We worked with our building leadership teams to find a better solution and fine-tune every part of our day. We placed tape on our hallways, we rearranged classrooms, we painted lines for arrival and dismissal, we revamped our student pickups, and we narrowed down those restroom procedures. The best part of this that we have found is, as you will see throughout, is that many of these new systems will probably continue long after we've thought about COVID. The year started with our first ever virtual open house. Teachers and staff really had fun with this new concept. A link was sent through Remind to all of their families, which allowed them to find their child's teacher, and then we also posted the link on our website. Staff discovered a whole new way to present their information. The Bitmoji craze was in full swing. Are you guys familiar with Bitmojis? Do you all have one? Everyone in the building joined in this fun. We created our own Bitmojis, set ourselves in our working environment. The pictures on the slide show teachers in their individual quads. Parents could click on the teacher. Each teacher posted an introduction video, a classroom tour, and lots of information about their new grade. We found many benefits in doing it this way. If you're not a homeroom teacher, many families never really got a chance to meet you on open house night. Using this model, families could take their time, learn about any of their child's teachers, and revisit as much as needed. A bonus, there's plenty of parking when you go virtual. Several of the teachers have shared with students during their class time in case they missed it, and then they go home and they share it with their parents, so that kids are really intrigued by watching their teacher's presentation and their Bitmoji. So the link is still available on all of the web pages, so feel free to visit if you hadn't had a chance to take a look at it. We all felt much appreciation for the gift of time. The additional 3 days prior to the students coming back was such a huge help. We spent time putting the final touches on classrooms, learning about amazing technology to use both during class and for remote learning, and planning with our grade levels. It really helped with the overall atmosphere of the building by relieving some of the anxiety of how things will come together.
As Dr. Gillespie shared, our staff has gone above and beyond for the start of the school year. Since August 24th, great things have been happening instructionally at East. Let's take a look. These are two of our kindergarten classes. As you can see, the students have individual workspaces. Mrs. Lyman Grover and Mrs. Meyer have taught their students many routines and structures to keep everyone safe and healthy. The tape identifies individual workspaces while at their desk. Additionally, these smaller class sizes have allowed for more individualized instruction. First grade is full of ideas. As we planned all summer, we knew that classrooms would not be able to use community supplies as we've done in the past. With that in mind, our teachers worked collaboratively and became very creative. These pictures illustrate Mrs. Taylor's setup to allow her students to engage in math stations with individualized kits. Each student is able to receive their own kit to play the game with the classmate, and then at the end of the day, Mrs. Taylor sanitizes the materials so that the next group of students can use the game for their center. These two images show a fourth grade classroom and another first grade classroom. The fourth grade classroom on the left is set up so that students attending Monday and Tuesday have space at their desk, and then the desk next to them alternate for the students attending on Thursday and Friday. The first grade classroom on the right shows how a teacher maximized her use of space by placing a sneeze guard in between two students so they could work simultaneously. And our final picture of classroom that we see shows that our students are engaged in many different learning experiences. In all three pictures, you are able to notice that students have individual supply boxes and bins. We have a great PTC at East, and they've helped buy the supply boxes, extra masks, and dry erase markers for students to use during different activities. Overall, not only have the teachers physically set up their classrooms to promote a safe environment, but they also maximize instructional time through engaging lessons and activities. Through all of the challenges, our students and staff continue to shine.
This is probably one of my favorite. This is one of the systems that really has added to the structure of the building that definitely will probably last forever. We put tape lines on the floor in all of the hallways and all of the quads, so the students travel the building on the right-hand side. We do this for students from pre-K through 5. Overall, this has decreased the noise level in the hallways, so not to disturb others. Students do a better job of keeping their hands and feet to themselves, so less discipline problems, and it offers each child their own personal space. And as you can see, they use what we call helicopter arms. My grandson corrected me and said, no, those are called zombie arms, but we call them helicopter arms. But you'll see kids walking through the hallway, even our 5th graders, helicopter arms. So they really are conscientious of that, and again, it's made a huge difference. We originally thought the special areas would have more challenges, but the teachers have really stepped up and made learning engaging despite the limitations. In PE, you can see that all students are able to participate. Mrs. Stuckwich is able to clean equipment between classes. Music has outlined areas, even though students are not singing in the room. They're able to use some instruments like drumming to practice rhythm and beats. For library, students are able to select a book to read, as they always have. Mrs. Jones sets out a collection for each class, and students are able to pick from the collection. Once returned, she quarantines the book sets for 3 days before offering to other classes. Computer labs still function with social distance seating and press and seal wrap on the keyboards. This allows us to disinfect all parts of the computer between classes without harming the computers. And I will admit, when we were putting that press and seal down, I thought, there is no way this is going to last. But we have not had to change the press and seal once, because you can just spray that stuff right on there, and it doesn't mess up your keyboards, and you can clean them really easily. And I know, like on that picture, it doesn't look like it's as opaque as it is, but you really can see through it really well. It works great, and it was probably a $4 solution to cover all the keyboards in the entire building. So it was not bad at all. And then in art class, one of the beauties of art class is Mrs. Birch was able to let the kids finish their projects from last year. You think we stopped midstream in March, and the kids didn't get to finish some of their best artwork because that's when they're preparing for the arts fair. So she rearranged all the projects so they would be with her new classes, so when they come in, they're able to continue that work. She has enough supplies that she's able to let each child have their own supplies that day, and then again, she sanitizes each night at the end of the day. So that's been really exciting. Art is one of those things, when you make a project, it is very special to you. Because I keep begging her, will you please put some up in the hallways? Kids don't want to let go of their artwork. They don't want to lose their artwork. So that was very kind of her to kind of rethink through that way. If you've been to East, you know we have quads. We have quads everywhere. And quads are a big part of our instruction. But it was really difficult for us to think about how we can utilize these quads with our smaller numbers. We do interventions in the quad. Our therapists use the quads to work with students so they're closer to the child and to their homeroom. So we really struggled with this. But in the bottom line is we just decided to double up the barriers. We have sneeze guards between people who also wear masks, and then a lot of them also have, in some cases, the shield. They have the shields that go under and under their face and shoot up, and they have some that shoot down. But and then each area is disinfected after the students complete their time. And then our staff has gotten really creative with these sneeze guards. Obviously, we can't buy enough for every single person. So you can look up there and see some of them are made with PCV pipe and clear shower curtains. They're made with plexiglass and wooden frames. Somebody's husband built those. They've done, I don't think I have a picture on this, but I had a picture of it earlier. They use poster frames from like Hobby Lobby, and they take the backing off of it, and then they'll duct tape two together. So, and those make really big partitions. So, and you can put a couple of them together so you can maybe fit 2 or 3 students and still keep them social distance. So it's kind of fun to see some of the creative ways that they solve these problems, and they're still able to meet the needs of the kids.
Lunch is one of those things that when we went to the hybrid model and with social distancing, we were unsure how we were going to do it, but it's been a great success overall. Each grade level has their own lunchtime to avoid overcrowding, and while in the lunchroom, the students know to sit on the Fairfield stickers. These pictures show that the students are still able to interact and enjoy time with their classmates, even while social distancing. Our kitchen staff has been amazing. Maria, who was our Golden Apple winner last year, she and her team, they have worked diligently all summer providing meals in the community. During the days, they provide a regular lunch meal every day, as well as packaged meals to go home on Tuesday and Friday, and then on Wednesdays for our virtual learners. In years past at recess, an entire grade level could attend at once, and we had multiple EAs on duty to monitor the students as well as the activities. But this year, the teachers have been taking their individual classes to recess. As you can see, the students are enjoying their time outside. In place of shared equipment, we have purchased equipment that can be used individually and then sanitized. Each classroom has their own bag that teachers sanitize daily. These pictures show some of the activities, including bubbles, jump ropes, hula hoops, and then finally, 4th grade showing some excellent creativity. And this is actually a Kagan structure, a human tic-tac-toe board that they set up out on the playground on the bottom right. And then finally, let's not forget about our buses and the important job that they have each and every day. Again, students are doing a tremendous job at both arrival and dismissal. As Dr. Gillespie showed in the beginning, we spent time this summer painting red and white lines to identify where the students should walk. They have also learned to use their helicopter arms, as mentioned previously. The picture on the far right illustrates this, where if the students extend their arms, they should not be able to touch the individual in front of them.
So positive behavior intervention supports, or PBIS, is more important than ever this year. Our students still have struggles. Some did not leave their house during the quarantine before coming back to school. Many have been left to their own devices while parents had to work. Playing video games has become popular during the quarantine, so doing schoolwork is not quite as much fun. To help the students get back in their school groove, we have our school counselor, our community liaison, a counselor from Catalyst, and 2 school psychologists. Our school counselor has really done a great job, Amy Howard. She's put together some fun activities for students like a welcome for new East students, champs for character activities, and morning announcements. Actually, we just left a presentation that she did on self-care. It was a PD this afternoon for our staff, and she's working with our wellness committee to support staff through all the changes they are experiencing. We are really lucky to have her full-time this year. It was perfect timing with that. So we still have our challenges, but we work together. We work together as administrators, we work together with our building staff, and I do believe, as we've been saying through this whole thing, that we are better together. In thinking back through the whole process, we may have overthought a few things, like our concerns about students wearing masks all day. Honestly, the adults have more struggles with masks than the students do. They kind of forget that they have them on. You saw someone in the lunchroom and they still had their mask on. We don't make them eat with their mask on. They just were unpacking their lunch boxes at that time. It's a new trick we're teaching them. Eat with your mask on. Anyway. Working with the hybrid model has provided us with opportunities to reach more students due to the smaller numbers, less behavior issues, so students are able to get more out of their classroom environment. And the teachers are able to build better relationships because they are able to focus on the individual child. And most importantly, it has allowed us to commit to the safety precautions that our district has put in place and committed to. I only hope this brings some comfort to our families during these unprecedented times. We have made some lemonade, and it is working. Thanks for allowing us to present tonight, and we'll stay and answer any questions you may have, because I'm sure there are things we forgot to cover.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I have a comment. This is awesome. Just seeing the kids and everything that you guys have done to make this work, you're definitely making lemonade out of lemons. It's very impressive. So with this is the one question. So with the extra psychologists, are you seeing that extra psychologists used a little bit more or less? What's the use on the psychologists?
So, okay, so you're going to have to repeat the last part again. I'm having trouble hearing through the mask, but go ahead.
With the extra psychologists, I was just curious if you're using the extra resources to the fullest because of any potential, COVID issues with kids adjusting to not having as many, of their classmates in the class with them. Are there any issues that you see arising from, like any sense of loneliness or the fact that they're, there less days? Are there any issues that you're seeing? And are you having to utilize the psychologists to help, offset any of those potential issues? Basically, how is that working out? The social, emotional piece of it for the kids?
I think that we're always going to see those pieces, no matter what environment we're in. Right now, I think because it's still new and the classroom teachers are able to give them more support and be right there for them, that the needs have not been as great or they haven't surfaced as much. We talked about that today. We met today with some of our support people like our liaison and our counselors, just what kind of challenges are students facing right now and how are they adapting to this. One of the concerns we thought about is we always have so many kids anyway that have trouble adapting after a long weekend. And now this is like a really long weekend and them adapting to that. So I think things will surface as we go through. I think we're still in a honeymoon stage right now. I think kids are just glad to be back with other kids and be back with their teachers. We had one student come in with his grandmother prior to school starting to find out they just hadn't received any information. She hadn't heard it. It was a grandmother who had just taken custody. So when the child found out he was only going to be going 2 days instead of 5, I mean, he was upset because he wanted to see his friends again. So, but those kind of things have worked themselves out. And I think, like I said, kids are just glad to be back in the building and seeing each other and having these different structures in place and feeling that safety. And I think you can really feel like the warmth and the caring because everybody is just right there and so close, you know, not within 6 feet, so close to being there for all of their needs. So it's been a little bit different though. This morning we did a check and I think one of our Catalyst counselors seeing 11 families right now, and our liaisons working with 14. Those numbers are pretty low. So they always increase throughout the year, but for starting the year, that's a little low. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, no, that's great. I appreciate the pictures showing the kids acclimating to the new procedures, and I was going to ask them about masks, but you commented on it. I was concerned, interested, I guess, to know how our littlest ones, our youngest ones, were doing with the mask protocol, but it sounds like they've adapted.
They do quite well. I think the biggest thing is sometimes the kids will try to come to school with adult mask on, and all day they're like holding them like this. So we've started like tying them behind their ears and trying to like twist them to help them. And we have masks for them if they need them, but they'll bring something to school they really like. And so you don't want to offend the mask because the mask is part of their personality too. A lot of them, they pick their mask. We have one student that was on vacation and they went to some booth and they took a picture of his face, and his mask is the bottom part of his face. And you look at him. It's like you almost have to have him pull down his mask and say, is that what you really look like? So I think it's kind of even like, I don't want to say a social status, but a personality kind of identifier of what kind of mask you wear, and teachers too. So again, there's quite some cute masks at school.
I know I apologize. I missed the first half of your presentation, or first part, but it struck me what you said about the masks when you said, we sometimes kind of overthink it or over worry about it. And it amazes you how adaptable kids are and how willing they do just want to be together and learn and be in that structure, and how they're willing to adapt. So, and I think they prove that time and time and time again. So it was just comforting to hear you say that.
I know. I was speaking with someone the other day, and they said, "Oh, I'm not sending my child back to school if they have to wear a mask." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's the least of your problems. The kids like the mask. Don't worry about the mask.
Yeah.
They do well with them. They really do." I think we just over worried about that, and I think we're better because we over worried. I mean, we took that time and really thought things through, and just thinking. And you guys know some of the stages we went through this summer. We're changing plans, and because we went through that process, we were able to be better prepared, and we will continue to be better prepared no matter what change comes down the road. So, and we know changes are coming one way or the other, so.
Well, I love the idea of the Bitmojis to introduce staff to parents, because like you said, at open houses, you can't always see all the teachers that they're going to intermingle with. So it's great that they can see each teacher and maybe learn a bit about who's going to be instructing their child. I hope that I think you said you're going to continue that tradition. I think that's great. And I love the fact that they were able to finish their art projects from last year. And I think that was good therapy for the students, but I also think that was good therapy for the staff as well, because they see all these projects in March that were left uncompleted, and I think that's a little bit of closure for them as well. So I love hearing that. And I love the fact that teachers are taking their kids out on recess. And again, that's another way of getting to know their students, but more outside of the classroom environment. So thank you for those things. Any other comments or questions?
One comment. Sounds like a mask contest could be a good thing. Like a most decorative mask contest, something like that.
Most decorative mask contest?
Yeah, like the most decorative mask contest, maybe around
That's a cute
Halloween or
idea.
something like that. Just an idea.
We've been working with PTC to try to come up with some fun things like that too that we could do. Last year, we did a paint a tile night, and it was really fun, and we have the tiles up, and they look so good. So we're thinking like, how can we do that? You know, maybe we could send those home and let them paint them and bring them back. But a mask idea is good too, and I know our PTC has looked at masks, like doing different things so our kids could get some different like graphics and stuff on their masks. So, like I said, the masks have been fun.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate your presentation tonight, and best of luck for the rest of the year.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.